Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily, Thursday Thoughts. It's Des here, live of course, with your questions. Looking to answer your questions. Got a good selection to go at again today. Really appreciate those being sent through. It wouldn't work without them, so thankful to the regulars, those who are always helping out with that. And really, like I say, I'm really glad you've done your bit again and help me out. So yeah, looking forward to that. I just want to say, having a really good week this week. Always start to reflect at this time on a Thursday, and I've mentioned a couple of times how much I'm enjoying the running again. Just been out, done another 4 miles. Feel really good about that. Had my green top on today, fourth colour of the rainbow, supporting the Rainbow Laces project. We are through Do Running and DOdaily, so it's important for me to do that. But I had a real good run, got in a walk as well before that, so really on top of it today. Feel really prepared and ready to make the most of this session, look ahead to the weekend, and hopefully pass on a few bits of information that'll help you. The solidarity session again was great this week. Really enjoyed that. Lots getting involved, a few new faces. Just had a nice message there from a friend whose mum's got involved, and he said that she's really loving being part of Do Running and what the community is about. And all of a sudden, her running's gone to a new level. She's very new to it. So she's just getting into it, but all of a sudden she's loving it because of being part of this community and seeing what other people are doing is really doing the trick. And that's all I try to say, isn't it? It's just about motivating and inspiring people to get involved. So things like the solidarity session, the challenges it is at the moment, the Do Running 25 days, do some activity, at least a mile every day in December up till Christmas Day. It's really doing the trick and really helping people out. So really grateful to receive such comments, and just prove that it is working to some degree. Whilst I always say this is a slow burner, people are looking as and when they need to and get from it what they will, at least somebody is getting something from it. And I always say if one person can get something from it, then we've done our job here. I'll start off, as I always do, with last week's throwback question. Of course, we've been talking a lot recently about sort of getting out in the cold, getting out when it's when the temperatures are dropping, and finding that motivation. So what I asked last week, just for you guys to throw some ideas out there about races and runs and different kind of activities, things you've enjoyed in the past, which people might be sort of looking to do in the future. I've got lots of responses to that, some really good stuff. Kay said straight away while she was out last week running, she's actually out again now, hopefully listening live. She commented before I'd even finished the video saying that she a couple of years ago, we went out for an 8-mile run at 5 o'clock in the morning. She was marathon training for London, and she was cursing and swearing at me, really stressed out about doing it. It was -5 at 5 a.m. And I insisted on taking her on this 8-mile run, but she looks back now and says it was one of the best ones she ever did. It's that kind of commitment and dedication you've got to put in the winter months for the London Marathon, and she did just that, and she got to the day and duly completed. So it takes those kind of efforts sometimes, and we all know those spring marathons, take that sort of determination over the winter. So that's a great memory for both of us. Dawn mentions a City Slickers solidarity session we ran last year. We went out again. It was cold. Everybody was a bit on edge about being cold and worrying about getting through it and getting around. But we went out. The guys were training for the half marathon. Again, I was dragging them around the streets of Nottingham. Just another one of those sort of Tuesday nights, a training run, trying to build up that mileage. But it was wet. It was windy. It was freezing, and I think it all started accidentally. Somebody ran through a puddle and ended up splashing someone, and before we know it, it was all out war. We was jumping in puddles, splashing each other, and it was just one of those moments where it all just sort of exploded. Just a little bit of fun, Sounds a bit daft now. Sounds a bit dreadful, to be honest, but it was really so much fun. We were all laughing. We was all wet through. We was all freezing cold, but we went home, and of course we can laugh about it and talk about it now. So just making the most of a bad situation, and that's all we're trying to do most of the time at the moment, isn't it? So just hopefully, we can realise that we don't always have to be too serious about it and just enjoy what we're doing. Davna says for the past 5 years she's been in a different European city with her brother-in-law and his family. She mentioned Rome and Madrid, and they've always tried to find a 10K on or around New Year's Eve. That's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? I mentioned last week about a local race we use, just a small 10K. What we try and create a bit of a group event around to finish or start the year. But I definitely got to try that one. I'm not a massive fan of New Year's Eve anyway, the traditional New Year's Eve. I'd much rather do something like a 10K. That sounds absolutely amazing. Getting that running on New Year's Eve in a different place. She says she's had some amazing times and amazing experiences doing that. That really is inspiring stuff, isn't it? It definitely made me start thinking about what I want to do next New Year's Eve, hopefully, when we're out of all these restrictions and lockdown. Simon M says a few winters ago he did a dark and white events trail race up in Calver in the Peak District. He says it started gently with a couple of hills. He says a couple of climbs got gradually steeper and a little bit worse, but all of a sudden it opened up across the snow-covered fields of the Chatsworth estate, and he says it was really amazing. I can imagine it is. I absolutely love the Peak District, that area at the best of times. I love getting up in the summer, and even in the summer the weather can change sort of in an instant. So I can imagine it can be quite brutal in the winter, but what a place to go and do your activity. I was up there earlier this year before lockdown, actually my first half marathon, which I probably shouldn't have been running. After my operation, I went and did a slow half marathon with a friend, and it was an amazing place to do it. That was around the Derwent Reservoir. It's about a 10-mile loop. Managed to stretch it into a half marathon. If you can do that, get up there any time of the year. It's absolutely amazing. Really want to make the most of it again in the coming months as well. So definitely made me think again about that, Simon. Ian mentions, not for the first time, but neither would I. This time last year he was in Central Park doing the Big Apple Half in New York. What a place to do a run. I've been to New York myself, one of the places I love the most, but I've never ran there. It was all before my running days, and I went to Central Park, and all I can do is imagine now running around it. But to do an organised event, one of my real big bucket list is the New York Marathon. It's something I really, really want to do, and I really want to do it well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, next couple of years, I can get that in. But he says it was an amazing experience, and like I say, I can imagine it was one of the most inspiring places ever, and then you go and run a half marathon. So, and he went with the family as well and friends, and it's something to really look forward to. So what an amazing place to be at this time of year. But just reiterate, to go and run there as well, can you imagine it's really cold? I've been to New York at this time of year, absolutely freezing, but brilliant stuff, brilliant and inspiring stuff. John, normally got some input, so thanks again. He mentions the Turkey Trot half marathon, which is usually the last half locally here in Nottingham. It's around the start of December. It's probably this weekend in previous years. Of course, it's not on this year due to what's happening in the world. But he says, despite its hilly nature and the fact it's always freezing, it's got PB potential. It's actually his PB. He's half marathon PB, so it's one of his favourites, of course. Everybody's PB is one of the favourites. He says he actually marshalled it one year, but he says it's that cold. He says he don't think he'll be doing that again. It's much better to go out for a run. And lots of people, that race in particular always sells out this time of year for that reason, he said. But again, because of it's located just out the city, it's around the rolling hills of the countryside, and you run back into a town and there's amazing crowds. So lots of people get involved. So it's always a good one to be involved in. And I mentioned that small event locally as well, just something where we can get the team together. They do a 5K, they do a 10K. I think they might even do a full run. It's just about getting people involved, isn't it? And enjoying what we do. But I've got another one. I saved it purposely for this week. One of my absolute favourite winter runs was a couple of years ago on Christmas Day. I went to Throwback Park Run. I'd never done park run on Christmas Day. I'd ran on Christmas Day before and understood the benefits. Mentioned last week, people go, "What, you run on Christmas Day?" And as runners, we're like, "Of course we do." It's one of the best times to run. Absolutely amazing. Everybody's out in great spirits. But I did my first sort of Christmas Day park run, and it was a place called Throwback. Normally they have about 200 people there. I'd run it a few times before, but there was over 700 people turn up, and I can just remember trying to look for friends. Everybody had Christmas hats on, and you couldn't spot anybody because running around the course, one part of it's a lot higher up than the other. You could see these Christmas hats bobbing along, 700 people, and it was absolutely amazing, fantastic spirit. And what a way to start the day, getting in a park run, something we love most weekends. We all try to make the most of Christmas anyway. So to start it that way and bump into some of your friends who you would probably never see on Christmas Day because you've got family commitments, what a way to get going. Absolutely fantastic. So guys, hopefully that's throws out some ideas. It inspires you to keep working hard, keep at it, keep working hard at that challenge. That was the purpose of asking that question, was to keep people ticking along with this particular sort of do running challenge. I understand it can get difficult. Motivation can kind of go up and down. I've already touched on sort of me last week and a build up to this week feeling much better, and that's what happens when you're running streaks. You tend to sort of go through phases of feeling great, feeling up, feeling down. You need other people to come along and support you. You need to hear different things. And that kind of leads me nicely into question one. It's a question from Ian, who I've already mentioned. He says he's currently running a streak that stands at 80 days, which is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Do I have any tips of how he can keep going and potentially complete Red January? So just sort of thinking quickly, that take him up to the best part of 130 days, I'd imagine. Hopefully my son's all right. But all I'll say to that, Ian, is just keep doing what you're doing. Knowing Ian personally, he goes out, he runs on his own, he runs with other people when he can. He runs with Dawn, his wife, and a little bit slower sometimes, but that's crucial in getting you through. Some days you have to just take that pace off, even if it's just a plod through. Doesn't matter how fast you do it. A couple of cliches I can throw in there. A 6-minute mile is as quick as far as a 16-minute mile. It's still running. It's still getting out there. It's still doing what you enjoy doing. And the most important thing is just to keep enjoying it. So if it is feeling tough, just take the pace off. I tend to take pictures, a new season to take pictures of, whether it's not snowed locally yet, but whether it's snowing or it's wet or it's, or the colours are changing because of autumn, absolutely fantastic. Just throw in different things like that. Keep recording it, keep talking about it. That's really important, isn't it? Keep sort of letting your friends know what's happening and how you're doing, because everybody's inspired by that. Ian will say himself he's not the fastest runner in the world. He's a good runner, but it's just about just keep chipping away. Keep having the good ones. Keep not getting too down about the bad ones, because there will be some. We're bound to get a little bit tired. What I find personally is if I take the pace off for a few days when I'm not feeling fantastic, perhaps just like this week, and then all of a sudden I'm starting to see some results. Results will come. What I have heard about, it kind of I proved it myself, is what does happen. Times actually really improve once you stop the streak, and you have a couple of days off. Kay ran every day in November, and then all of a sudden she had a few days off, and then 4 or 5 days into December, she got a PB, a 5K, all-time 5K PB. She's done absolutely fantastic this year, but all of a sudden she's starting to see the times really, really improve. So it's just worth considering, Ian. Of course, I know how important it is. I did 100 days last year, and you want to keep this thing going, and you feel like you want to sort of do as long as you can. That's absolutely fantastic. Go on, get out there and do as long as you can. I'll be supporting you all the way. But yeah, just to remember, just to take it easy when you need to. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Try and get it in early if you can. That's another tip I'd give you. Sometimes it's not so bad this year because none of us have got many plans because of Christmas, because unfortunately we're not allowed. Normally, Christmas plans, Christmas parties, extra work commitments, tend to get in the way. So if you can get it in early, just in case anything crops up, it's a good thing to do, just to make sure it's in the bag and you can have plenty of rest for the day after. So hopefully there's a bit to go out there, Ian. Thanks for a great question. It ties in nicely with that challenge we're doing. And well done to everybody who's on day 10 of that. 15 days to go. Before you know it, we'll be halfway through. We'd have broke the back of it, and we'll be looking ahead to Christmas Day. And it's always great to achieve something. So getting through that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Really proud of everyone's efforts so far. Keep posting them up. It's brilliant to see. The next question is from Simon. It says, is there anything that could accompany runs and walks now the diet is reduced and the temperatures and conditions aren't always on the side? Spoke about this a lot already today and in previous weeks. It's another great question. It's not always easy to find that motivation. Not everybody's streaking in the same way. Not everybody's taking part in this particular challenge. And obviously people have got those work commitments. Some people will have extra work commitments because of Christmas, and struggle to get out in the dark, or got sort of family commitments they need to sort of adhere to as well, childcare and such things like that. So I think there's a few things that you can do there, Simon. Potentially look at some home workouts, whether you've got some dumbbells lying around at home, a few weights or some sit-ups, there's so much these days as well on the internet in terms of actual sort of exercise classes. We all know about Joe Wicks. There's so much to go at. He's got a whole back catalogue you could work through if you really have to. I know John in particular is a big fan of Joe Wicks, and he's been doing that every day through lockdown. So something to sort of consider there. If you've got to be at home, if you've got to be inside, stick a Joe Wicks video on, or I was looking through YouTube. There's loads of channels just for home workouts. I know another friend who's got a push-ups bench in the back garden. Again, you might not have that kind of facility, or you could invest in that. It's something you could sort of invest to use at home again. So you're about potentially to sort of not have to go out there, not go too far away from home, particularly when the conditions are against it. Perhaps something you could stick in the garage almost, So there's a few things there to go at, I must admit, I'm not one for staying in too much. I like to get out there, and that I've not got many commitments, so that's that helps me no end in terms of getting out for a walk. I'm not particularly bothered about the dark or getting wet. I always say skin's waterproof, it's not going to kill us, but I do understand people are going to have other commitments which are going to tie them down to home. But just one or two things to go at. And of course, tune into things like DOdaily and try and keep you motivated. Whether it works or not is another issue, but hopefully the routine and somebody talking about it and sharing what other people are doing, just gives you that extra incentive, that extra motivation to get out there and do it. Thanks for the question, Simon. Question 3 today. not going to say who sent this, but somebody says to me, do you have any advice on how to cope mentally if you've been recovering from injury and enjoying running after months of not being able to, and then the injury comes back and you start getting those dark thoughts again? I can kind of sympathise with this. Whilst I'm on riding a bit of a high at the moment, I've been talking about my own running and feeling great. It's been well over a year since I've felt this way about running. I've had a couple of highs in the last few months where I feel like I've achieved something, but all of a sudden I'm going out there and getting that real sort of enjoyment back and really starting to sort of not feel the pains I've had. But for so long I was running with injury, I was trying to manage it. I was running a couple of days, having to stop, and whilst I've not broke down completely, I felt that frustration, I've really felt, like I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't going anywhere quick. What I had to do was readjust. I've mentioned this a few times since I started DOdaily, a lot of the walking I do now is because of that, so when I can't run, I just remember I can walk, I can go out and do other things I enjoy, stick the music in, enjoy the fresh air, go somewhere different, stop and read signs, educate myself a little bit about where I'm from. I actually love the place I'm from, Nottingham, so I get out there and sort of learn about the area and explore new paths and things like that. And whilst it never replaces running for me, and I'm sure for the person who's asked the question, it doesn't either. It's a nice substitute, and it's still activity. It's time on our feet. It's getting out there and doing what we can. There's virtual events, a lot of events now. I've done it myself through Do Running. When I've created events, has made them available to people walking, just to take that pace off. Of course, if the injury allows, you could get out on the bike. Again, a lot of the things I try to advise through DOdaily, through the Do Running community, through the work I do with Get Out, Get Active Nottingham, is just to get people out, and enjoy that fresh air, get the benefits of being on top of their own sort of mental health and the situation that's going on around us. And by being outside, I realised the importance of daylight, So again, I know it's tricky right now, but if you can get out during the daylight, it's always great for mental health. I learnt myself this year, and I know it's a thing, but I kind of stumbled across it myself during the summer in particular, and I know it gets harder again. It's a bit frustrating with the time of year, but by looking up at the sky a little bit more, the blue sky does a lot for you. It makes you... it offers you that vitamin D I mentioned yesterday, and you start building your immunity system up. If you can always start eating healthy, all these little things work. Drink more water, and whilst it's not rocket science, it's not meant to be on a Thursday. These things are just little things that we forget sometimes, when we're not in the best frame of mind. I'll be honest with you, the back end of last week, I ate rubbish. I drank too much alcohol after I'd not been drinking, and my mood just slumped. It absolutely slumped. And yes, the running's pulled me around a little bit, but I already made those choices. I had to remember what worked. And I suppose the best bit of advice I'd give is just to remember what's worked so far, what worked in getting you to the point of feeling a little bit more comfortable again. None of us like going back. I've said this all the time when it comes to sort of government announcements over lockdown and when we can come out of it and all these things. We hate those backward steps. It's what gets to us the most. We want to feel like we're moving forward all the time. So just bearing that in mind, just remember what you did. So hopefully it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 1 step back and 2 steps forward. It's a frustrating time. Injury gets to us more than anything, and it's just a case of keep talking about it, keep asking the questions, keep watching things, keep learning about the injury, all these things. If you open yourself up and start accepting it, it's hard to accept it. I had to accept that I wasn't going to run. I wasn't going to run the times that I used to be able to run. But slowly and gradually, it took me, like I say, over a year since I've been able to run comfortably. but it will come back. It's just a case of persevering, you know, and keep talking about it, keep learning about it, keep doing the things that have got you to this point, and I can assure you, you'll get back there, and you'll get the support of myself and people in the community, you know, who will always be there to support you however you're feeling and with whatever activity you want to do. So thanks for that question. Really good to sort of get into that kind of stuff, because whilst we always try to be positive, of course, not everybody's on this. Well, we're all on a roller coaster, you know, and the situation right now with COVID and restrictions and potentially a different kind of Christmas, you know, we're all going to feel different things. So whilst I like to keep it as positive as I can, of course, we try and answer the negatives as well, but throw in the positive ways of approaching that. So that's a great question. And the last question today, what would a Thursday Thoughts be without one of Dawn's Christmas questions? So, and I always try and finish it a bit more lightheartedly. So, what food do I tend to eat at Christmas time? Bit obvious, but mince pies. I've already started tucking into the mince pies. I mentioned last week, probably ate more at the start of the week than I have been towards the end. But I might have one tonight with a glass of wine, not as much as last Thursday. But I do love a mince pie. Until about a year or two ago, I absolutely hated them. I appreciate they were a love them or hate them type of thing. But can't wait for my first mince pie when Christmas comes around all of a sudden now, you know. Another thing I tend to drink around Christmas, not sure I will so much this year with the healthy choices I'm making, but I do like a Baileys. Not a massive fan of it throughout the rest of the year, but I do like a Baileys at Christmas. So potentially indulging in one or two of those, but not too much. Yeah, and all the normal things really, pigs in blankets, you know, the extra biscuits, the extra crisps, but of course, whilst it's a time to indulge, we have to remember, you know, it's quickly over and we have to get back into our routines. So, but it's nice, isn't it? You know, if we give ourselves, if we work hard throughout the year, we work hard to do the things we do. In this community, there's a lot of people doing epic things. So there's no harm every now and then giving yourself a treat, you know, taking a few weeks off. And if that's what you want to do, eat a few extra calories, you know, to get a little bit more enjoyment from it, then why not? You know, it's just about being realistic, being honest about what we do. You know, we know the pros and cons of these things, so it's just important just to enjoy them when you want to, you know. And if it's not too much, you know, there's no harm whatsoever, is there? And what I'll do is I'll use that as a throwback question. So it's quite easy and simple. Be great if I can get the same kind of responses I did this week. There was lots to go at there. I can see it's quite a long episode already, so I'll try and crack on. But that'll be the throwback question this week. What foods do you like to eat at Christmas? Of course, we're going to sort of theme the next couple of weeks around what we do. I'm going to be here every day, including Christmas Day. It's actually a Friday, so it works really well. Wake up to walk. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to get up early and film an episode on Christmas Day. So we'll try and theme it a bit around that, answer that question. Keep posting your questions, guys. It gives me, I really do appreciate it. I can't emphasize that enough. You know, it gives me a bit of content. It gets me out of my comfort zone. It gets me thinking, you know, and hopefully it gives you some idea of things we can do, what we're all about. You know, like I said, with that lady who's really enjoying the group right now, people are looking in and getting so much from it, and that's what's most important. So I can't do that without those questions. Keep posting those in the comments. You know, I post a preview every day on Instagram. Check out that on DOdaily 2020 at DOdaily 2020. Comment in that or across any of the social media. I will find them. People have said to me that they've posted here there. I do know that they're there, but of course, it's great to have plenty to go at. And like today, we've had exactly that. I'll be back in the morning for Wake Up to Walk. I'm going to be a lot more prepared today. Do you know, me and Kay are doing her usual thing. She's actually booked me in for a meeting all of a sudden. We've started inviting each other into a meeting in the dining room 8 o'clock on a Thursday, which is a bit bizarre, but I did it as a bit of fun last week. But she's actually told me I've got to meet with her this week. So that's all about planning what we're doing, you know, looking forward to the weekend. You know, we say meeting, it's a bit of light-hearted fun where we, last week it turned into an epic session of Desert Island Disc. We were choosing our favourite songs and listening to music. So it's all good stuff, isn't it, to take our mind off what's going on. Like I say, I'm finishing on a really good week. Looking forward to tomorrow. I'll definitely be somewhere different, you know. Going to get up early, probably start whilst it's dark. It's going to be cold, but I'm really looking forward to it. And we'll just say, if you can check back on yesterday's episode, I was really pleased with that. I'm not always confident about my output and what I do, but I'm really, really pleased. It went a long way for me to get into some kind of video like what I want to put out regularly. You know, I felt quite at ease. I felt comfortable saying what I did, and the format was what I really want to do. So I always say this is a work in progress. People say you're doing fine, but I always want to get better, of course. People say it takes 10,000 hours of doing something. So unfortunately, if you're a little bit bored of it, but you are sticking with it, I'm going to be around for a while, yeah. If not, of course, you don't have to watch. But if you do, I really appreciate it. Keep sharing and liking. I appreciate all that as ever. You know, it makes a difference. You know, the subscribers are creeping up slowly. And of course, that's what it's about. Whilst I'm not looking to show off, I want to pass on this information. I want to talk about what we do. I want to share the activities and achievements of those in the community. You know, and I'll keep working hard at that. If you keep inputting, you know, questions, like I say, across all those comments. I see there's some comments to go at today. So I'll be reading through those. I'll be back in the morning. Just doing it. Thanks, guys.